Letting Go, Part 15, an advanced explanation. Welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at how to use the technique of letting go. So far in the series, we've been looking at really what letting go is and how it begins to change your life as you decondition yourself, as you deprogram yourself, as you learn to be less emotionally reactive and just begin to release and go with the flow, allow yourself to feel more. All of these things are moving you through these higher levels of consciousness. And that's really laid a foundation. You might have even started using this technique and seeing some of the benefits for yourself. But in this episode, what I want to do is really unpack what's going on when you let go, how to do it, a really simple, practical explanation so that you can just start using this in every area of your life. Because as you do that, as you begin to clear out your resistance, clear out your blockages and your attachments, your emotional attachments in every situation, what begins to happen is your life starts to open up. Opportunities start to open up. Problems that were previously intractable, that you just couldn't get past, begin to open up and dissolve because the world isn't really changing out there. You're changing in here, and that is what makes all the difference. So get ready for this episode. You might want to grab a pen and paper because we're going to be throwing up a bunch of diagrams here that are going to really break this down and make this very, very simple. So before we get started, I just want you to imagine that you've got this chest of gold and you've been carrying this chest of gold around with you your entire life. In this chest, there are coins, there are jewels, there are bricks of valuable gold that you can use to do anything you want. There's so much riches inside of you. The only problem is we don't know how to access it. We don't know how to get into this chest and pull all of that value out so that we can use it. So all of us has this inside of us. If we can just figure out how to remove all the rubbish and all of the blocks that are preventing us from getting into it, that's what we're going to discover when we dive into this. So there was once a farmer who lived out in the jungle, and he had a family, a few kids, a wife, and every year he would grow his crops, sell them at the market, and feed his family. And life was good. Life was simple. But one year, the land stopped producing, and the farmer's crops weren't producing. He wasn't getting enough food, and he began to get very concerned. So the farmer, being a wise man, decided to consult someone else for help. He decided to go and figure out, what can I do about this? How can I get my crops to start producing again? And he journeys deep into the jungle, and he goes and finds the shaman. The shaman lives in this cave deep in the jungle, completely out in the middle of nowhere. And the farmer takes a basket full of fruit. He walks into the cave, finds the shaman sitting there. He's meditating, doing shaman stuff. And the farmer says to him, I'm having this problem. My crops aren't producing. I can't feed my family. I'm really worried. What should I do? And the shaman accepts the offering, takes the fruit, and says to him, go back home, come back to me tomorrow, and I'll give you your answer. So the farmer goes away, comes back the next day, and the shaman turns to him and he holds out a seed. And he says, in this seed is contained the answer to your problem. The seed is going to grow a beautiful tree, and this tree has everything you need. You can use every single part of this tree, but the fruit is the most valuable part. It's absolutely loaded with nutrition. It's usable in every different way you can imagine. You can make all kinds of things out of this fruit, and you'll be able to sell the surplus at the market and make a good profit and feed your family and take good care of them. So the farmer takes the seed, so happy, so overjoyed, and he goes home back to his farm in the jungle, and he finds a nice hill to plant this seed in, just like the shaman instructed him. He digs a hole, plants the seed, and leaves it, goes away, and begins to come back day after day, watering, nurturing, nourishing the seed. What happens is, very quickly, a tree begins to grow out of the soil. And it happens very rapidly because it's a magic seed. This tree sprouts forth, and within a very short period of time, there are leaves, branches, and the tree's huge. Now, what the farmer doesn't realize is that next to his farm, there lives another farmer who's also having problems with his yields. He's not getting enough out of his crops. And this other farmer is a very jealous person. So late one night, when the farmer is sleeping, the neighbor comes through and plants a poisonous vine. He digs down into the soil and plants this poisonous vine. And so as this tree now is beginning to grow forth, what's actually happening is the vine is growing with it. So this vine begins to grow, and it begins to take over the tree. So that now, in the leaves, when the farmer comes back, he can see all of this poisonous, thorny vine up in the leaves. And right about the time when the fruit should be growing, now all these thorns and all of these spiky vines are coming forth in all the branches, in all the leaves. Now, this vine, it's a very sneaky vine because it blends in with the tree. So it's not actually obvious to the farmer what's going on here. So what does he do? He wants his fruit, so he starts to clear all of the poisonous vine out of the leaves. He begins to cut this vine away, clear it up, and make the tree all beautiful again, thinking that that's going to yield him the fruit. But because he hasn't cleared further down on the branches, he's only cleared all the leaves out, which is where the vine really shows up. It's obvious up in the leaves. It still hasn't been cleared from the branches, so it just grows back within a very short period of time. And the farmer is bewildered by this, but he realizes there must be something else going on. So he studies the tree closer. He begins to go deeper, and he discovers it's wrapped around, this poisonous vine is wrapped around all of the branches. So again, he clears the branches. He begins to get rid of this vine further down the tree, and things are good. Tree looks clear again. But very quickly, this vine down here grows back up into the branches. So now the farmer's really beginning to realize what's going on, and he inspects the trunk of the tree, thinking, that's it. Once I've cleared the trunk, the rest of the tree is going to be clear. I'm going to get my fruit. I'm going to be able to feed my family. Life's going to be great. Clears the trunk, starts to cut it away, gets his pruner out, and just starts snipping all this poisonous vine off the trunk, and then bang, the same thing happens. Finally, the farmer realizes what's really going on. He clues in, and he begins to dig. He begins to dig under the surface of the soil, deep, deep down, until he discovers the seed or the deep roots of the poisonous vine attached to the deepest part of the tree. And that's when everything changes. So, have you figured out what the tree is? The tree is consciousness. The tree represents you. And consciousness is made up of many different layers, right? We've got our conscious mind up the top. And where this is most obvious is in the realm of our thoughts. The leaves represent our thoughts. We've also got our unconscious mind, and that is everything under the surface of the soil. This is where the problems are really starting. This is where our deepest issues, our deepest struggles, our deepest pains, traumas, and programs actually live in the unconscious mind. Now, what most people are trying to do is solve their problems on a conscious level. They're trying to clear the leaves of all of the poisonous vine. They're pulling out all of this symptom, negative thoughts, negative experiences in our day-to-day life, projecting all of our issues out onto other people, and just thinking that our problems are because of other people or other things or places or situations. This is the leaves. This is the top of the tree. This is the obvious stuff that we try and deal with. But what happens when we deal with things on that topmost level, on the physical outermost level, on the level of thoughts? You know, we take some drugs to try and pacify our emotions or to quiet our mind. But what happens when we stop taking those drugs? If we haven't dealt with things on a deeper level, they come back. So we've got these two major levels. We've also got, beyond this, the realm of spirit. And that is really beyond conscious and unconscious. If you go further up, you get to spirit. If you go further down, you get to spirit. Spirit is the context in which our consciousness arises. So everything's happening within spirit. And we'll get to why that's significant later. But here are the different levels, right? Now, again, the conscious level is the level of thinking. The unconscious level is really the level of feeling. So we're getting deeper here. Thinking is really quite superficial. Feeling is where our thoughts emerge from. This is where we've got leverage. If we want to make a change in our life, what we really want to do is not just change the way we think about it, because again, changing the topmost level, it's going to have some short-term effect, but it's just going to come back. You know, any habit we try and change, and we just try and change it mentally, it's just going to go back to the way it was. But as soon as we feel differently about something, it completely changes the context, completely changes the approach. It changes the energy of that situation. And that is what allows our thinking then to change. It follows the feeling. So we've also, deeper down on the level of spirit, got that level of knowing. Knowing is where our intuition comes in, where we just have a certainty about different things that happen. For example, if someone we love is in trouble, we might just have a knowing. We might just have a knowing about the way that something's going to turn out. And this can be very, very valuable for us when we're trying to navigate through the complexity in our life. As we begin to clear out this feeling level, as we begin to clear out these programs of the unconscious mind, we get deeper and deeper in touch with this knowing. And this knowing is really what enables us to live a spectacular life. Okay. So that gives us the context for what we're about to get into here. Now, in order to access these deep deep levels of the tree, there's a very important idea that I want you to understand. See, deep beneath the layer of the soil, as we get down into this unconscious realm, when we're getting deep into feeling, what we're actually getting deeper into is what's called sensation. Okay? Sensation. This is a hugely important idea for you to understand. Feeling, as we go further and further up, we're really talking about emotions. As we go higher on the scale, as we go closer to thinking, emotions are a feeling combined with a value judgment, combined with an idea. For example, we might see our partner with another person, right? We might just see them with this other person, and immediately we get a sensation of tension in our stomachs, right? Just as an example, we get this deep tension in our stomach when we see our partner, they're out there with someone else. Immediately what happens is this sensation moves up into our mind, starts in our stomach, moves up into our mind, and now we're putting a label on it going, oh my goodness, my partner's cheating on me. That's bad. I feel jealous. That's wrong. Or I'm angry, or this or that, whatever it may be. So what's actually happened here is what's begun as a sensation has then moved up into our mind, into our thinking mind. It's moved up the tree, and it's turned into an emotion and a series of thoughts, right? It's all started with this sensation deep down on the deeper layer of our unconscious mind. So sensation is really where it all begins. Really, this is the animal part of our nature, which is directly in contact with reality. Before anything becomes an idea, before anything becomes an emotion or a belief or a paradigm or anything like that, it always begins as a sensation. So what are we talking about when we talk about a sensation? The raw sensory data, the most simple parts of our experience which really make up everything that we are. As an example, think about your eyes. Your eyes are these incredible biological machines that convert billions and billions of bits of sensory data, little bits of light, little photons, which as they hit the rods and cones of your eye get converted into an image that makes sense to you. But if you really were to look at the universe or the world around you in a completely objective way, there's no images out there. There's just billions and billions of photons bouncing around. So it's our brain that converts this raw sensation into something that has meaning for us. And this is where our problems begin, when we start to take those meanings too seriously. We start to attach too much meaning to them. So sensations are really just that raw sensory foundational experience that's happening moment by moment, from which we build our whole reality. This is really deep stuff. It's kind of crazy the deeper you get into this, but just a very simple explanation right now. So what are some examples of sensations? What am I actually talking about here? Well, again, it's just the very simple physical feelings that aren't emotions. They don't have meanings. They haven't been given a meaning yet. They're just pure physical feelings on the most simple level. What's an example? Buzzing, a feeling of something buzzing, a feeling of tension, tightness, that's a sensation. Warmth is a sensation, just a simple bit of sensory data. Cold, sharp, humming, vibrating. What's another sensation? Pulling, a feeling of pulling pushing. So simple. Contracting and expanding. Can you see what I mean when I say sensation? So as simple as this is, the vast majority of people are completely out of touch with sensation, which is to say, they're completely out of touch with their own physical body. Because your physical body, like we looked at in Your Body, the Master Key, that episode, your physical body is like this quantum computer which turns all of this data into meaning. So if we're able to tap into this, if we're able to really feel our own body before all of our emotions erupt, before all of these judgments and these thoughts start going crazy, like the thorns up in the leaves of the tree, which we try and prune out on that level, if we can start here, it's going to completely shift our whole experience. So that gives you the context. The sensation is creating a whole reality. And now we're going to look at how to let go. Before I jump into the explanation of how to let go, let's look at how our reality is created, okay? Through sensations, from our sensations. So this is called the resistance reality cycle. So we're going through life, right? And we're doing our thing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get triggered, right? Someone says something happens at work, something happens at school. Our boss looks at us a funny way. Anything can happen, right? Triggers can come from any place. But the important thing to know is that whenever we're getting triggered, it's because of a program inside of us. It's not because of the outside world. You know, the reason we're reacting emotionally isn't because of what someone else did. It's because of what someone else triggered that's inside of us already. So it all starts with programs, right? At the very beginning of our life, through the socialization process, we are programmed with literally millions upon millions of programs. And if you want to understand this deeper, look at my episode in Mind, Body, Spirit called How Does Conditioning Happen? But essentially, we as egos are looking for two things. We're looking to survive. So we've got to make sure that we're in a safe physical environment. We've got to make sure that we've got good bonds with our caregivers. And so we're going to model their behavior. We're going to look to them for examples of how we should live. Before we can even talk, we're already observing and modeling and copying our parents, our caregivers, the people around us. And all of this is adding up to our programming. So we'll observe the way our mother speaks to other people. We'll observe the way our father behaves, their relationship, their interaction, and all of this is informing us of how the world is, how we should live. We'll even observe as small children, little things like how do our parents respond with money? How do our parents seem to act with resources? Are there plenty of resources or are there not many? All of this is programming us. So by the time we're 7 and by the time we're moving through those later stages of childhood, our identity is already mostly consolidated. It's already pretty much formed based on all of this programming. And then we spend the rest of our life reacting to this programming or trying to play out or trying to live out these programs that we've been conditioned with. And unfortunately, one of the deepest ones, based on this whole socialization process, which is taking a small, wild child of infinite potential with all of this crazy energy, all of these impulses, all of this animal instinct that's coming from the id, as Freud talks about. And we're basically trying to make them acceptable to the social world. So you can't just yell at people. You can't just attack people. You can't just jump on someone and start having sex with them because that's not appropriate in our social world. So the child, through this process of reward and punishment of their impulses, learns that on some level, me just as I am isn't worthy. I'm just not quite good enough unless I act in these certain ways that get rewarded and reinforced, and I don't do these things which get punished. The child is left with this feeling that in order for me to be acceptable, there's this certain way that I have to be. So it's kind of like the child learns that they are starting on minus. They're not even on level 0. So it's not even like if I do something good, then I'm level 5. It's like if I do something good, deep on an unconscious level for most people, then I can just be worthy. Then I can just be basically on level 0. And then if I do more stuff, I can, be better and better and better. Unfortunately, this whole model of reality is deeply flawed, and it just creates all these kinds of problems. So how do we resolve this? That's the context. What can we actually do about this? We can let go. We can learn to release these conditions. We can release these programs, and we can expand into the pure spirit that we actually are, having this human experience. And that's where we access all kinds of magic. So we start off conditioned. Here's the ego, here's the unconscious mind, and here's the conscious mind on the outside. The unconscious is like this space in here that gets filled with programs, and the ego and spirit is in the center. And I go into that again in the Mind, Body, Spirit series. We're going along through life and we get triggered, right? Someone says something. Someone pisses us off. Someone wears the same shirt as us at a party. It could be anything. We get triggered, and what happens next is all of these sensations get released. Someone says that we're ugly, right? And immediately, sensations, these feelings deep inside of us get released. They get triggered. And we don't really want to feel these feelings because we've got a program that says it's not appropriate for you to feel angry or for you to feel irritated or whatever it may be. It's not appropriate for you to hate someone. All of this conditioning causes us then, when we get triggered, to resist. So now these sensations are coming out and we do something called resistance. Now, what is resistance? This word here is so foundational to what the letting go process is all about that it's really key for you to get what I'm talking about here. It's very, very simple. Resistance is literally contraction. So anytime that you can feel your body closing up, anytime that you can feel yourself just becoming smaller and withdrawing, what you're actually doing is you're resisting. And this comes back to the ego's survival programs, right? The ego's first agenda is to survive. And when it's in its very primitive state, it does this by the fight or flight response, okay? So when you're fighting or you're flying, you're moving out of parasympathetic, relaxed response into sympathetic, where you're activating your adrenaline, you're activating cortisol, all these different things. Your body's tensing up and getting ready for an emergency. That's what resistance is at its very core. Now, this is useful, again, in the early days when we're a small baby and we have certain needs that need to be met. And if we cry, our mother will come to us and feed us. If we throw a tantrum, it's a way of getting attention before our higher faculties are developed, before our conscious mind is developed. And we can get those same things in different ways, which are much more resourceful and much more effective than just throwing a tantrum, right? But it becomes a problem further down the track when we are resisting life. We're resisting opportunity. We're resisting the ability to love, to be open, to be happy. This is really creating all of our problems, the resistance. So again, these sensations get released and we resist them because we don't want to feel them. And so we almost put them into this little bag. We enclose them within us. We trap them inside of us. We tense up our body, and that forces these sensations to stay on the unconscious level. That's what's going on. And this becomes a major problem further down the track. So the next thing we do is we tell ourselves a story. So we've been triggered. Picture it. Someone has taken some money, or you've lent someone some money, and then they just don't answer your phone call. We've been triggered. Now we're feeling resistance to all the sensations that are coming up. We're feeling angry. We're feeling pissed off. Next, we tell ourselves a story, right? Because we need to do something with these sensations. It's not enough just to suppress them. We need to give ourselves a reason why we're suppressing them, okay? This is where the problem starts amplifying and multiplying. So a story could be something like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. We could say something like, men are assholes. Generalizations, right? Little things happen and we just make a huge sweeping generalization. This is how the unconscious mind works. We turn little experiences, little triggers. Most of these, again, are happening when we're younger and go on to then form our reality as we get older. We resist it, and then we make a generalization about what it means. And that comes in the form of either an identity statement, I am like this, I'm not good enough, smart enough, funny enough, not attractive, whatever it may be. Or that story could look something like a statement about reality. So the world is like this, we project it out there. Men are like this, women are like this, politicians are all like this, white people are all like this, black people are all like this, right? Story. This is where it's getting dangerous, because now we're turning simple experiences into ultimate truths that we then live out of, which takes us to the next point. So the last step on this journey is projection. So these uncomfortable feelings that we're feeling inside, they get resisted, and then it's like the energy of this blocked emotion, of this blocked sensation, we're not experiencing it in our body, so it's now filtering up the tree into the leaves, into our mind, where we've created a story about it. And now, because we don't want to feel this, because it's painful and we're resisting it, we're going to project it out onto the world. So we're going to literally create our reality based on all of this blocked garbage inside of us. So we're looking out at the world, and now we're going, money's the root of evil. Again, men are assholes, women are assholes. There's not enough opportunity. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. I just can't succeed at my job because the conditions of my job are just too difficult. So we're disempowering ourselves even further with our projections. We're creating our reality with all of this feeling that's inside of us. Can you see what's going on here? Can you see how powerful this is? Just understanding this cycle, resistance, reality cycle. Because then what happens is we end up coming back here and cycling around again. So we're going trigger, resistance, story, projection, money's evil, or the world is just a dark place. And then we're resisting what we see out there, which is really just coming from in here. So if we can just get back in here, we can actually change everything that's going out there, because we're changing our perception of the way that the world is. So that is the situation that most people are actually in. Before we get on this process of raising our consciousness, of becoming more aware, of becoming aware of how we are actually participating in the creation of reality, most people are just walking around like zombies, completely unaware of what's going on. So how do we change this? That sets a bit more of the context for how we get into this mess. Now what can we do about it? So this is how to let go. How to let go. Now this is something that you can do right now while you're sitting there watching this. Because really, all we're doing is we're feeling our body, right? Remember how before I touched on how sensation is really the key to eradicating any kind of problem you've got? When we can tap into the sensation behind any experience going on, behind any trigger, when we can come into full contact with our own body, we're in fact releasing all of this built up pressure. We're releasing those projections. We're releasing those negative feelings. And as we do this more and more and more, we're getting down deeper into the roots of the tree until eventually we can release the program that's creating this problem in the first place, right? So again, let's look at it like this. We're going through our normal life. We get triggered. Something comes along and triggers us. Sensations get released. And then what do we do next? We resist because we don't want to feel these sensations. We're trained by our programming to believe that we should be in our heads, we should be rational, we should be detached, we should be logical, we should be rational, right? So the resistance comes up and immediately wants to just block and hold all these sensations in. So the sensations are coming out of our deep unconscious and they're trying to get to our conscious mind where we can just experience them so that we can process them. Because when a sensation is allowed to flow, when you feel a sensation, you allow it to trickle up into your conscious mind, you're consciously aware of what you're feeling in your body, then the sensation can be processed. It can be released from your system. And when that happens, it's like this is getting integrated. This sensation is getting integrated into your conscious mind, and then you can grow, then you can expand. So we get triggered, we resist. All we need to do to let go, right? This is the crucial step. Number 3 is observe and relax. Observe and relax. It's that simple. So when we're feeling, for example, that tension build up, that resistance, which can take all kinds of different forms, whenever we're feeling that sensation of resistance in any way, immediately what we can do, instead of buying into it and creating a story, creating an identity, or creating a generalization about the way that reality is or other people are, immediately what we need to do is just remember to observe it. So we observe the sensation and we allow ourselves to relax. If you can just do this, you're essentially jumping from deep animal instinct into awareness like that. It's just happening so quickly. So we observe the sensations in our body. We observe the resistance. We notice how much we're resisting, right? Because the vast majority of the time when, for example, your boyfriend just doesn't call you for a day and you start freaking out, what we usually do, we resist it, and then we block the resistance. We go unconscious. So we distract ourselves from these negative feelings, or we distract ourselves by going into reaction mode instead of just simply feeling what this is bringing up. So we observe and relax. We can close our eyes if we need to, or we can just literally get in touch with our body, which for most people is a challenge, right? But we're going to go into how to do that. I'm just going to give you a really quick demo of how to get in touch with your body, because that's really the key to this. So we feel that tension. We can feel it. We just locate it in our body. We notice, oh, I've just been triggered. My teacher has told me that my work just isn't up to scratch. I've been triggered. What does that feel like? What does this resistance actually feel like in my body? Well, right now I can feel my heart racing. I can feel my stomach's all tight. I think I've got some butterflies going on. I'm actually noticing my legs feel kind of cramped. All this different stuff's going on that most of the time we're not even aware of. But now as we're practicing awareness, now we can start to feel it, right? And just that process of feeling your own resistance is already beginning to release it. This is the crazy thing. So we allow ourselves to feel or observe what's happening in our body. And we notice, how much am I resisting this? A really simple thing you can do here is just give it a rating out of 10. Because all these sensations coming up, they're actually manifesting in the form of resistance. And you can notice how much resistance is there. Because if you're able to relax that resistance down, already you're becoming more free. Already you're becoming more capable, because your body is getting out of that contracted state into an active state, into an open state, into an exploration, a curious, a growth state, moving out of fight or flight into expansion. So all you got to do is feel, where is it in my body? What does it feel like? How intense is it out of 10? What level of intensity is there? And then we're just going to relax, right? Then we're just going to breathe. Just notice our breathing. Oh, my breathing's all tight. Let's just breathe in that good ass prana, baby, and just let it all out. We're noticing and we're relaxing. So if you can notice that tension in your stomach, now just notice, oh, that's about a 7 out of 10. My stomach's really tight right now. Let's just relax and see if through that relaxation, the tension might even go up. That's the crazy thing, because again, another level of paradox here, or complexity, we often resist the resistance. That's another level, right? So you don't even have to think about that. Just focus on getting into relaxation. But realize, when you relax your body, you might feel more negative sensation. You might feel more intensity. The resistance might even increase. That's good. That's showing you that you're opening up to feeling. That's beautiful. That's what we want. Or the intensity might drop. It could go either way, but the important thing is, as you relax, the sensation starts to change. The resistance starts to change, and things are happening. Things are moving here, right? So that's good. And then lastly, after you've done this, you just want to check. So again, let's say you're driving along, you get a flat tire, you get triggered, you're already late for an appointment, you're on the freeway, your tire's flat, you're like, shit, what's going on? You start to resist, you start to cramp up, your body's tensing now, you're telling yourself stories as the energy filters up into your mind, and you start thinking of situations and scenarios. What am I going to do? Am I going to lose my job? I'm going to be out in the street. I can't afford this, blah, 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 blah. You're in resistance. Before that runs away from itself, you instantly remember, oh, I can just observe and relax what's going on here. So you observe your body tensing up. Then you start to allow yourself to relax through it. You're breathing now. You're just focusing on what you can feel and not getting into story mode or projection mode. And now you're starting to feel your body shift. maybe you start to go into freak out mode even more because you're relaxing, you're opening yourself up. So maybe a freak out starts to happen and you just continue. That's just more resistance coming up. That's good, right? You just allow that to happen. You allow that resistance to emerge. All that energy is just starting to dissipate. And then you check after you felt a shift. So something's changed. I'm feeling different. Let's just, again, check in with my body and see how intense is this resistance? Has it gone up? Is it still a 7 or is it now a 4? Just like that. Just like that. That can happen in literally 1 minute. This is the beauty of this technique. This can happen so quickly. Once you've just practiced this a couple of times, you'll get yourself into the habit to the point where you can be getting up, giving a speech, and you might be extremely nervous. You're getting triggered by all the people looking at you. You're feeling tense. You're resisting. You don't have time to go and meditate. You don't have time to go and do breath work. You don't have time to go and do a guided visualization of how you're going to be confident in front of people. All you can do is observe and relax. Let go. Observe what you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel it and just relax. Just let it happen. Maybe more resistance comes up. Fine. Just roll with it. Because this resistance will peak, right? It'll hit a certain point of peaking and then it will start to go down. Just like that. And then you just check in. What is it out of 10? Has it moved? Has it changed? Most likely it will have. If it hasn't, just go back into observe and relax. And that's it. That's the technique. It's so simple. I mean, it's taken me however many minutes to explain it, but the mechanics of this is just so simple and so workable that it's going to completely change your life if you just do it. It's as simple as it is. So again, what's some more practical examples, or what's some ways that you can do this yourself? What's some ways you can actually train yourself to do this? This is where we're getting into being very intentional about using this, because this will change your life. It will completely change any area that you apply it to. And I can only say that from my personal experience and listening to other people who've also done this. But this has the potential to completely unlock your power to release the conditioning and to release those higher states of being: love, happiness, freedom, joy. So make sure you've got that. If you need to pause that and take a photo, screenshot, or write it down, do so. But now let's get into some practical, right? Let's actually test this and see if you've got some programs happening that you're not even aware of. This tool that we call your body, right? This is the most incredible tool that we have. When we combine it with our mind, with our conscious intent, these two working together can create anything. They can get you out of any kind of problem. They can come up with any kind of solution. The key is just getting them to work together. Mind-body integration. That's what we're talking about here. And again, if you want to find out more about the mechanics of this stuff, check out the Mind, Body, Spirit series. That just goes really deep into all of this. But for now, we're focusing on letting go. So here we go. So all I want you to do right now is take a deep breath. Get yourself into a relaxed state. If you're driving, just make sure you pause this and continue when you can do this. And all we're going to do is take a few deep breaths and tune into our body. We spend so much time up in our thinking mind, going through life, just thinking, stories, situations, inner dialogue, all this stuff. And we forget that we're walking around in this extremely incredible organism, this beautiful piece of engineering, this piece of art, trillions of cells working in harmony together all day, every day, taking care of all our needs, rebuilding our body, healing us, digesting our food, allowing us to integrate memories, and all kinds of different things are going on when we sleep. Feel your body right now and just appreciate. the power of this thing. And right now we're just going to do a really simple test. And we're going to test how you feel about certain things, right? So trigger warning here, if you think that you've totally resolved certain issues, or if you think that you feel completely neutral about certain things, this is going to instantly show you if that's true, which is really one of the incredible properties of our body. It doesn't lie, doesn't tell us stories like our mind does. So all I want you to do right now is bring your awareness to the soles of your feet. Can you feel the soles of your feet? Can you feel anything, any sensations happening there? Some tingling, or maybe the temperature, maybe the pressure of the floor. Now bring your awareness up to the palms of your hands. Can you feel the palms of your hands? What can you feel there? Maybe the temperature of the air of the room. Maybe you can just feel some light tingling on the skin. Maybe you can feel a bit of heaviness, a bit of warmth. And now tune into the top of your head, your scalp. What can you feel on the top of your head? Maybe you can feel openness. Maybe it feels tingly again. Maybe you've got little buzzing sensations happening. Just tune in. What's going on there? And notice now that just by going through this quick process, you've become aware of your body. And just do a scan down from the top of your head. Feel your face, feel your chin, your throat. Feel your shoulders, your chest. Feel your arms. Feel your stomach, your pelvis, thighs, knees, all the way down to your feet. You're now tuned into your body. And so I'm just going to say some words, some topics, and you're going to notice, how does this make the body feel? What sensations does this bring up? Just as I mention these topics, because that's going to show you your level of openness to these different topics. And it's going to reveal to you, oh, I'm resisting that, or maybe I'm completely okay with that, which is good. If you're resisting it, that's going to show you where there are problems happening in your life and why they're happening. The reason they're happening is because you've got some resistance in there. Maybe from a program that told you how you should respond to these things. Maybe from an experience where you had a bad experience and you programmed yourself. And now that's become a pattern that you just feel that in your body every time, and that causes you to act a certain way. So let's just test this. All I want you to do is imagine a puppy, a beautiful, cute puppy. See that puppy's beautiful eyes, see its little puppy tongue hanging out, maybe it's wagging its tail. And as you're holding that image in your mind, notice, how does that feel in your body? Does it feel clear? Or maybe you've got a feeling in your heart. Maybe you've got a little tingling sensation, or a feeling of openness. Maybe you feel light. But just notice, your body responds to ideas. Imagine that. All right, now we're going to imagine something else. So all I want you to do is imagine sex. Whatever sex means to you. Maybe you've got images, maybe you've got memories coming up, but just the idea itself of sex, just that pure idea, objective idea. Notice instantly how your body responds to that idea. Something so simple, but maybe you're feeling resistance. Maybe you've got some tension appearing somewhere in your body. And that's showing you, this is how I feel about this topic on some level. Maybe this topic is mostly okay for me, but there's just a little bit of tension, or maybe you've just completely gone into cardiac arrest right now. But notice whatever's going on for you. Where is the sensation? What does it feel like? How intense is it? Let's do another one. Now I want you to think about religion. Just again, the topic of religion. If you think that you're a very open-minded person, maybe this will surprise you. How do you feel in your body about religion? Notice you can't make up stories and you can't lie when your body is just obviously showing you how it feels, which is how you unconsciously feel. Is there anything going on? Is there any part of your body that's changing when you think about religion? Notice that. Let's do another one. How about vulnerability? Ooh, here's a juicy one. Vulnerability. How does that feel? Interesting. When I think about vulnerability, being vulnerable, what do I feel in my body? For a lot of people, this is a really touchy one, and you might suddenly feel your shoulders move forward and your body just bend forward a little bit, almost in this act of protection. Because again, there's a lot of programs and a lot of experiences happen in life that convince us that it's not safe to be vulnerable. So just notice that, and when you're ready, come back to now and open your eyes. What an interesting exercise, right? Now you can do this same exercise on any topic, and all that's going to show you is what you actually feel about it. So it's particularly interesting if you tune into problems you're having in your life right now, where that's coming from. Again, like we mentioned before, problems aren't happening out there. Your true issues in life aren't happening out there. What's happening out there is a result of what's happening in here. Projection is perception. Perception is projection. So we're always projecting onto the world out there what's happening inside of us. So let's finish this now by actually doing this process and installing this habit in you, so that every time something triggers you, you're going to start acting differently. You're going to start going into the letting go mode. You're going to start going into surrender. And that's going to completely shift your experience of whatever that situation is. And it's going to start to deprogram you. As you get into this habit, as you start doing this all the time, you can actually live in this state of observation and relaxation. If you're following the path of Buddhism, that's what they recommend, is that you start to observe and relax. If you're following another path, any kind of spiritual tradition, it all leads back to this same place of surrender. This is the beauty of this method, is we're effectively cutting out all of the jargon, all of the belief systems that go along with this, and we're just getting to the pure technique. So let's install this habit now. Let's do this process that we outlined before, how to let go, on something that's personal for you. So I want you to think of, again, just close your eyes. Notice your body. Allow yourself to take a few deep breaths and relax. I want you to think of something or someone who triggers you. Something or someone who triggers you. And just imagine them right in front of you, or imagine yourself in that situation, and immediately notice step 2 of the diagram. How am I feeling in my body when I think about this person? For me, I'm thinking about someone right now and I can feel around my torso is kind of drawing in a little bit, just getting a little bit narrower. And now we're going to move to step 3. So we're going to observe how much resistance is there. What does the resistance feel like? What are those sensations? Getting very, very accurate, almost like a scientist. The more accurate we can be with our observation, the more powerful this is going to be. So I'm feeling a bit of contraction around the torso. Notice what you're feeling. Maybe there's some heat. Maybe there's some throbbing. And now, just allow that feeling to do whatever it wants. We're not trying to change it. We're just letting it do its thing. Just allow yourself to relax while you still hold that person or that thing in your attention. See how much you can just relax your whole body even while this thing is in your awareness. See if you can go into that area where you're feeling the resistance and see if you can just relax that area. See if you can just breathe into that area or just let it go, just release it. Stop trying to control it. And notice now, maybe the resistance increases or maybe it begins to drop. Whichever one, that's good. That's a sign of progress. And just take another few moments now and see if that's shifting. How you feel about that person or that thing or that situation, just by continuing to observe it, not trying to change it. And now let's just do step 4 and check. So when you're ready, just open your eyes back here in the room and have a little shake. And now close your eyes again. Think of that person or that thing. And notice how much resistance is there now. Is there any resistance? Has it gone down? How intense is it out of 10? Has the sensation changed? And then when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back to now. So it's as simple as that. What we've just done there is the letting go process. Really, really simple, really, really clear. But now you've got a habit, you've just begun a habit which you can start to use in every aspect of your life. So your homework for this week is I want you to go through your ordinary everyday situation in life, whatever you're doing. Notice when you get triggered. Notice every single time. See if you can keep tabs on everything that triggers you throughout the day from the first time that you wake up. And now, instead of just going through the automatic response of resistance, forgetting about it, getting into your head, now you're going to tune into your body and feel what that triggering actually feels like. Feel what that resistance actually feels like. What are the sensations, right? Is there tension? Is there tightness? Is there opening? Is there looseness? Is there warmth? Is there cold? Is there buzzing, vibration, tingling, pinching, itching, scratching? All of these myriad ways that your body responds. Tune into them. Begin to relax with them. They're okay. They're just sensations. They're not going to kill you. The ego's afraid that these sensations will kill us because it's in survival mode, so it tenses up against them. But what you're doing now is reversing that process by simply relaxing and allowing. What you're going to notice is you're going to start to feel more peaceful. You're going to start to feel more calm. You're going to start to feel more powerful, because what we're doing as we release this resistance is we're opening up energy to flow up the tree, out of the roots into the branches and leaves, where the tree can now start to flourish and bear fruit and feed you, feed your family, feed all the people around you, and completely change your life. So I hope that this has been a very powerful episode for you, and I hope you've got some really practical keys now about how to use the letting go technique. Thank you for watching this. Please, I would appreciate if you have any questions or any comments, put them on the comment section down below. That'll help me to improve these videos and make them even better for you. Make sure you hit the like button. That's going to support me. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend. And I look forward to seeing how you go with this. I'm excited to see what's going to start shifting in your life. So go out and practice this. Enjoy, be blessed, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.